Hi, true avatars, and welcome to your weekly queer video game podcast. This is episode 57, and I am your host, Zoe Wild. I'm a transgender and bisexual woman, and my pronouns are she, her. Joining me for the entire episode this week, I have the first guest in a while joining me for an entire episode. No one's fault but my own, to be honest, and my scheduling BS, but is Cleo. Cleo is a trans woman and gamer whose pronouns are it and she, her. How are you doing, Cleo?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing good. I'm here. I'm having a good time. It's good. How about you?
I'm okay. We were talking before the podcast, and I was about to go into a whole spiel about my transition, and I was like, let's save this for the podcast, because queer people watching this might relate, or listening to this might relate. So what I was going to explain was, if you let me just jump in and monologue about myself, she starts monologuing, telling me how feeble you are. Anyway, according to The Incredibles now, that's not queer at all. The last year or so, around since actually, it has nothing to do with the podcast, but roughly when I started this podcast about a year ago, I noticed my appetite increased like tenfold. Maybe not tenfold, that's extreme, but like a lot. And I was like I'm trying to like keep my weight in check. Like when I lose weight, I feel really good. Like I look really skinny, and that's the skinniest I've ever been in my life. And I'm really proud of myself. Like I lost 50 pounds when I started my transition. And so like, I'm happy about that. And then it hit a point where I couldn't lose anymore. Even though there was like a little bit of fat on my body still that I really wanted to lose, I couldn't lose it no matter how hard I tried. I would always like whiplash rubber band back to like where I was kind of at around the 50-pound loss. So anyway, the last couple of weeks I've really noticed that I'm really hungry. Like all I want to do is eat. Like I can't, like, no matter what's in front of me, or if I know there's food nearby, I go and eat it. If there's no food, I'm like, oh God, I gotta go find something to eat. And more often than not, I've like eaten all the like healthy stuff, and like, especially at work where there's like, I can either like walk in the cold to go get food because it's cold now, especially for like women. I don't know about like, for me, like the cold is like brutal. Or I can like go to the cupboard where they keep snack stock all the time, and I can like sit there and I can eat Oreos, and I can eat granola bars, and I can eat like whatever's in there. Like they always have like a box of chips, especially now that there's Halloween candy now in the office too. So like I'll sit there just eating like junk food. And like, anyway, so I had enough actual meals prepared this week that I like ate 3 or 4 meals in one day. And I went on Reddit. There's a bit of an argument. I feel really bad. There was a tiny bit of an argument I had with someone because I think they misunderstood my question and I misunderstood their answer. But I've been like, is it normal 5 years into your transition, or I guess 4 years when this started happening for me, to just get like really hungry? Because when I was a boy and going through boy puberty, like I was insatiable. Like I could eat everything. My parents would joke that like I'm eating them out of house and home. And so I figured, like, I never saw any girls eat a lot of food when I was a teenager and they were teenagers, like cis girls. So I was like, is it normal to be a trans woman and just like want to eat food all the time? Is it just because I'm like, it's colder now, but like also during the summer I was also hungry? Like, anyway, I tried to figure out what was going on, and like I got a couple of answers, but not enough for it to be beyond anecdotal evidence, and that it's just like normal to be this hungry 5 years into your transition. Just because like your body wants to grow boobs, your body wants a big butt, like your body wants hips, you're also transitioning and going through second puberty. So anyway, I know you're earlier in your transition than I am. So I guess I wanted to ask, like, are you experiencing like it's intense hunger as well?
Literally over the past 2 weeks, it has been awful, like truly awful. And I don't know where it's come from. It just came out of like nowhere. I was like, I'm hungry and I don't know. I don't truly know where it's come from. My colleague keeps like little candy, like Halloween candy at her desk, and I'm always going back to snack. I'm always grabbing snacks for my lunch. Like I'm just going to keep just eating because I'm not stopping, and I don't know why. And it is infuriating in a way that is bothering me. But yeah, like you said, you were going through so much. It's hard to know where it's coming from.
Yeah. Well, if anyone listening or watching this has any advice or anecdotal evidence or just scientific knowledge about why the F this is happening to me specifically, I guess, although Cleo as well, drop a comment, please. But we're going to get into the actual podcast now. We're done talking about trans stuff. Now we're going to talk about trans gamer stuff. It's slightly different. Okay, so there is a metric crap ton of headlines this week. There's so much news. We're probably going to spend a lot of time on the news. We'll try to be as quick as possible on each headline, but there's a lot of headlines. Monday, Tuesday were light, and then Wednesday hit, and it was just like a downpour of news, and then Thursday, a downpour of news, and then Friday also. I'm like, video game companies, did you know that fall is almost over? Like, holidays are almost upon us. Your games should be announced and out already, please, for my own Like, calmness, please. My own serenity, please. Okay, anyway. So the headlines, though, that we have are Sims players are planning a boycott. EA has a weird commitment to AI that is kind of biting them in the butt. Kirby Air Riders is surprisingly accessible for a Nintendo game. There's a ton of queer games that got release date updates this week. There were a lot of layoffs, actually. And there's so much more as well. That's not even like the tip of the iceberg. Well, maybe it's the tip, but there's still a lot more to the iceberg. And once the news is out of the way, Cleo and I have both played 2024's Fear of the Spotlight, developed by Cozy Game Pals and published by Blumhouse Games. This game actually came out almost a year ago. And I did cover it briefly on the podcast when it was announced and released. But unfortunately, I did not have time to play it. Also, they did not advertise that it was queer, so I didn't actually know for sure that it was queer. I just happened to cover it by luck that it was on the podcast. I just thought it was a cool-looking game. So in the spirit of Halloween this week, not Spirit Halloween the store, but in the spirit of actual Halloween, we'll be discussing how terrifying this game is. But it's also incredibly sapphic to a degree that I was really not prepared for. So stick around for the second half of the episode when we discuss Fear of the Spotlight. Before we jump into this jam-packed thrill ride of an episode, True Avatars, I have a few quick favors to ask. If you like this podcast, I'm actually going to move my notes over here, so I'm always kind of looking at the actual screen here. Once the news, before we jump into this jam-packed episode, I have a few quick favors to ask of you, True Avatars. If you like this episode, please leave a comment, rating, or review on your preferred podcast platform. Spotify has ratings and comments, while Apple has reviews. Engagement like comments, ratings, and reviews helps to grow the podcast, and a growing podcast means a happy podcast host who is forever happy and fulfilled that you enjoy listening to her show, which creates an infinite feedback loop of more podcast episodes, more growth, and thus more happiness. So please go leave a comment, rating, or review. And if you're watching the video version on YouTube, please like this episode, leave a comment, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you're the first to know when a brand new video or episode drops. Also, please follow True Avatars, a queer video game podcast, on social media. There are accounts on Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Facebook, and TikTok at True Avatars, and you can also, and that's the handle, at True Avatars. And you can also find the podcast on the official website, trueavatarspodcast.com, no spaces. And remember, this is a weekly queer video game podcast, so check in every week. I am to bring you news, interviews, and updated discussions that are relevant to queer gamers. So you have a safe space to check in on the world of gaming from a 2S LGBTQIA+ lens. Okay, all right, let's jump into the news. There is a lot of news. Okay, first off, Cleo, I kept this news story a bit for you because this is actually a few weeks old, but I don't know anything about Final Fantasy XIV, like literally nothing. Even what you've told me has gone in one ear and out the other because I don't play Final. There are too many video games, let's be clear. But anyway, I kept this news story for the next time you were on because I knew we were going to do this episode. So this comes from Video Games Chronicle, and it seems there is no end in sight for Final Fantasy XIV support. So from Yoshi P, the director of the game, writes, or he said, When asked, do I ever get bored with Final Fantasy XIV? I don't think so, because there are a lot of things that I have yet to actualize in 14. Things that I want to do, things that I must do, things that require to be taken care of. And so I think for at least a good while, I should be okay, end quote. Cleo, that's pretty much the headline there. So what are your thoughts on this?
I'm glad to see that it has so much support and love from the developers, in Yoshi P being the director. I'm really glad that it's going to keep going, and I'm hopeful that they're going to make some bigger changes to the game. It sounds like they have some plans, so I'm excited. I'm really hopeful.
What's one big change, and we have to keep it to one or we'll be here all night. What's one big change you want to see in the game?
One big change is I'd love to see more variation in dungeons. Right now it's a very static, it's one route through a dungeon, you fight a couple packs of mobs, and you have a boss. You beat the boss, couple packs of mobs, next boss, and then it's always 3 bosses. It's always like 6 or so packs, and it's very boring. At this point in time, it's been done so much. It's very tiring. It's like, okay, great. You know the rhythm of a dungeon. You know the bosses. Like every boss kind of starts the same with a big room wide hit everybody attack, and then, all right, this is what we're doing, and you know the rhythm. And I'd love to see them shake that up even a little bit.
Man, I would kill for a Pokemon game to have a dungeon that advanced.
Wouldn't that be the best?
Well, anyway, I hope you get your update. I really do. And if you are a Final Fantasy XIV player, leave a comment for Cleo down below. She will discuss with you. I will not, because I don't know anything about Final Fantasy XIV. I'm sorry.
You should just answer the questions like you do play. I think,
Well, actually, the one thing that does make me curious is I know that Final Fantasy XIV, all the characters are animal people, right?
Not everybody.
No? I did see some key art where there was like lots of people with like ears and tails, and I think I like that. I think it's cute. So
I'll go through the races really quick. There are Mikote, which were in the game at the launch. They are the cat. They have cat ears and cat tail. A lot of feline attributes. We have Viera, the bunny people who are in Final Fantasy 12. We have the Aura, which are they have the blood of the dragon in them, so they have like scales and horns. And then we have Hrothgar, which are big cats, and they're the best, and they're my favorite. And those are the 4 races with animal traits.
Oh, cool. I figured there'd be more animal. I thought it was just like, this is the Final Fantasy game with animal people, but I was wrong. Now I'm less interested in playing it.
Well, I mean, it's still good. There are a lot of animal races that aren't playable, and it's great. It's fun.
So there's like other non-playable, but okay, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. That makes a lot more sense, because I thought I saw like art of like different animals than the ones you mentioned. But anyway, we do have to move on. Kirby Air Riders is surprisingly accessible for a Nintendo game, as I mentioned off the top. This was another Kirby Air Riders Direct hosted by the game's director, Masahiro Sakurai. And he basically went through the list of the game's features with a fine-tooth comb. It was almost too much, in my opinion. It was longer than the first Direct. It's just, again, way too much. It was like, I don't think this could have been an email, but I think this could have been like a 30-minute Direct where you just like quickly went through everything. Like, I don't think we needed to like, but anyway, it did get us this list of accessibility features, which I think are really cool for a Nintendo game. So the game has a lot of customization for the gameplay experience and the controls. You can remount buttons to pretty much anywhere. So even like, also like he showed off that you can play with like a single Joy-Con, which I think is super cool. So if you want to just like, I don't know how easy it would be to actually do that, but you can. You can set profiles for each of the control schemes that you create when you remap buttons. You can also control how much of the screen will shake when something happens on screen. So when the race actually starts and you like go 3, 2, 1, start, like the camera will kind of punch in a little bit as if it's like dynamic, which is super cool. But if that makes you dizzy, like for example, it makes me dizzy when I play Donkey Kong Bonanza, you can turn it off and make the game a little bit more less turn off, like bring down the motion sickness levels in your body, basically. You can choose how split screen is oriented. So if you're playing with 2 people, I don't know if you can do 4-player split screen, but for 2 people, you can choose if it's like top and bottom oriented or side and side oriented. You can freely add or remove certain events from the city trial mode, like turning on and off items in Smash Bros. If you've ever played that before. There are color filters. They didn't specify what the color filters were for. They didn't say if they specifically were set for colorblind players, but I have to imagine that hopefully that will at least help colorblind players. I'm not sure. Also, forgive me if there's a more technically correct term for color blindness. I've spoken to colorblind people in the past, queer colorblind people, and they still use that term, so I'm not sure if that's still the case. But if I'm being a dick right now, please drop a comment down below and I'll correct myself later. You can also adjust text size, brightness as well, HUD size and opacity. You could turn on and off outlines to make things more clear. And that's basically everything he let us see on a punched-in version of the options menu. So, Cleo, how do you feel about these accessibility options? Do you think if you had to switch to, would you be using them?
I think I'd probably be messing around with them and trying to find a good space for me. Like, I would definitely mess with the camera and kind of bring that back. That's like a preference from older racing games that I've played. It's like, I want to see more of the track and where everybody is around me. I would definitely fool around with the color schemes. I may not be colorblind, but I do like seeing what they include. Be it silly ones like sepia tone or like monochromatic or just like the different color tones they pick. I think that's always fun to see. Yeah, I think those are probably the biggest ones I would play around with. HUD size and outlines. I think it's good in general to have that much stuff to change, and I would definitely play around.
Yeah, the ones I really like are the changing the orientation of where the split screen goes, because I really like seeing when I'm turning on a track, I want to see where I'm going. And when you're side to side oriented, like most racing games are these days because TVs are widescreen, you lose a lot of that information. So I really like that. I really like being able to change text size. I really like being able to adjust the motion elements when you're in the race, because as cool as it is, it might be disorienting. And to be honest, like I don't consider myself the target for a lot of these, but this thing to know, if you feel that like accessibility options aren't for you, remember that like if they anger you, although I imagine most people listening to this podcast are not bothered by accessibility options, but remember, these features help others and hurt nobody else. So if these bother you and you're like, this game is unplayable because it helps colorblind people, like, and like you don't have to use these features. It makes no difference. So remember, helps everyone, hurts nobody, right? It's just bringing things up, especially too like when a Souls game is like easy. Like it's, like if you want to play like a Souls like game on an easy mode, I don't know how many of them have easy modes, but I know there are certain Souls like games that aren't made by the Elden Ring team from Software, but I think there are a few that like give you an easy mode where you can just like smash through bosses. And like, sure, that takes the point out of Souls like games, but like you don't have to play that mode. So what does it matter?
Exactly. Like just play how you want to play. It doesn't hurt anybody.
Yeah. So Kirby Air Riders is coming exclusively to Nintendo Switch 2 on November 20th. And that's less than a month away now, and I have it pre-ordered. And now I'm debating canceling my pre-order. Not because of anything in this direct, to be clear, but because they said that there is a day one patch that you have to download. And they specifically called out the physical version. Like if you getting the physical version, you're gonna have to get the day one patch. And I like my cartridges complete, because apparently after the day one patch, that's it. They're not adding anything else. There's no DLC. There's nothing else. So I might wait for a proper physical version with Nintendo revises their cartridges. So I might cancel, but I also really want to play it. So maybe I'll sell my copy and buy it again, but that is not financially smart. So
I would keep that copy and like download the patch, but just try it before you patch it and just to see what that's like what changes are they making. I think that's just like fun to see.
I always tell myself I'm going to do that, but then I remember I have approximately 18 seconds a week to play video games, and I decide I'd rather just have the day one patch and play the game.
That is completely understandable and fair.
All right, well, drop a comment down below if you're watching or listening how you feel about these accessibility features. Which ones do you think apply to you, and which ones make you happy? Like, which ones are you going to use? I'm always curious to hear. And also, if you don't want to share that information, don't share that information too. That's also, if that's your business, it's your business. Next article we have here is from Gaming Mag. By the way, Gaming Mag, whenever I bring this up, you're probably like, oh, it's a magazine about gaming. No, it's a gay gaming mag. Just to be clear, it's spelled with the gay, G-A-Y, gaming. But anyway, Sims 4 players are planning to boycott the franchise if the Saudi Arabian acquisition for Electronic Arts goes through. They're worried the game's queerness and inclusion features will be removed, as are we here at True Avatars, of course. We, from the second we knew about this, we were worried. But quoting from the article here, in the wake of the announcement, queer simmers, which I didn't know they were called that, expressed concern over the investors' links to the Trump administration and Saudi Arabia, a country which previously banned a Sims app and which Equal Dex rated one of the worst in the world for LGBTQIA plus rights, with gamers quickly speculating about what the buyout could mean for the game's queer content. Pretty much echoes our sentiment, right, Cleo?
Yeah, it pretty much does. It's not a good outlook from my point of view, but yikes.
Yeah, pretty much. If you're planning to boycott Sims or thinking about it, there's strength in numbers, obviously. So if like you play The Sims and you're worried about this boycott hasn't actually started yet, as far as I know. I think it's going to happen if it goes through. So, keep the boycott in the back of your mind. I know here in Canada, we tried to boycott a certain grocery store. It kind of worked for a little bit, and then people just went back to shopping there. Sometimes myself included, because it's convenient, and unfortunately the closest grocery store to a bunch of places where I can actually grocery shop. So boycott where you can, but obviously, do what works for you. I'm not your mom, so, but be smart. Speaking of EA, they are committing to generative AI just as they run into troubles using, guess what? Generative AI. So 2 headlines in the same week over the course of 3 days. So on October 22nd, summarized by Tweaktown because the OG article was paywalled, they wrote, Electronic Arts, and this is their TLDR, Electronic Arts is aggressively integrating AI, including its generative chatbot Reef GPT, to automate game development and reduce costs. However, experimental AI tools cause coding errors and, quote, hallucinations, unquote, increasing workload and employee anxiety amid industry layoffs. AI's full impact on gaming remains uncertain despite ongoing investigations, unquote. Cleo, before we move on to the next part of this where it gets funnier, how do you feel?
I am very much vehemently anti-AI, and it has its place in like the medical field and other things, but generative AI, it's so bad, and to see it being accepted everywhere, it hurts.
Well, so far it's definitely being accepted everywhere at a corporate level, and I know there's like a lot of people that are using ChatGPT specifically, which wrecks my heart because I've literally never pulled it up once in my life to ever use it. And I'm not even like, I know people like to use that as a humble brag, but like I literally just like can't imagine not writing my own stuff. Like it just like I don't know. It would save me a lot of time if I did the show notes with ChatGPT. Like I fed it all the articles and said like summarize everything for me. But then like, what's the point of the podcast if I'm like,
yeah, like it doesn't heighten anything that comes near it. So
yeah, it's just regurgitating what we've already fed it. So yeah. Anyway, so it gets sillier here because on October 24th, which was yesterday, we're recording this on Saturday. This was on Friday. EA is doubling down on AI in a new partnership with a company called Stability AI. From Nintendo Life, and I quote, on EA's website, the company states that with humans at the center of storytelling, we're evolving how we work so that AI becomes a trusted ally. Very funny that they're partnering with a company called Stability AI after all this instability with their own AI issues.
Yeah, that's a choice. That's a choice.
So, Cleo, what do you think the odds are that this, like, I personally would bet the podcast on this, but I'm curious what your thoughts are, that the humans working with Stability AI right now, like at EA and using this new platform for AI, are training their virtual replacements?
It is very high, I would say, that's exactly what's going to happen. The AI will get good enough and they can let go of everybody they don't need and keep like a handful of senior devs around to fix the issues. At
work, we use something called 11 Labs, which is a voice generator. It's generative AI. Sometimes you can feed it your own voice and it will read back in someone else's voice the way you read something. Which I guess is slightly better if you want to like do something else with like a different voice. But I don't agree with it. But I've gotten to the point now where I know all the key voices and now I hear them all the time in ads. And like I heard someone listening to an audio book, or maybe it was a podcast, like literally on the street passing by. They weren't using headphones. They were one of those people that like had their phone up to their ear listening to something. And it was like one of the key voices that I hear, one of the main voices you can use on 11 Labs. And I'm just like, that's sad. Not that the person listening probably had no idea that this was an 11 Labs voice, but the fact that like this content is being made with 11 Labs is like really scary. And now, yeah, it's just, anyway, I'm not going to go further than that without crapping on clients, but yeah, it's, anyway, for the record, like we're not using it because like my bosses want to use it. We're using it because clients want to use it because it saves money. And unfortunately, it is shunning lots of voiceover artists that we used to work with. And it's really sad. So
that's unfortunate in a lot of ways.
All right, Cleo, don't say too much. We need to move on.
Sorry, I'll stop talking. My apologies.
You're not going to be invited back if you just keep talking too much. It's my podcast, Cleo. Don't talk over me.
I'm sorry. Oh, gee. Oh no. I'll show myself.
Cleo's going to be talking. Sorry. Cleo's going to be talking about this next section too, because I also saved this article for you because this is actually from a few weeks ago as well. And I don't know anything about Sonic Fox, but Sonic Fox is the only esports athlete included on a list of queer athletes. So popular queer sporting website Outsports has compiled a list of 50 rising queer athletes right now. And among the hockey, soccer, baseball, football, you name the sport that's on the list, was Sonic Fox, a non-binary esports athlete known for dominating and fighting games like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. And no, the dominating is not a joke or a pun. That is pretty much what this person actually does. Cleo, what can you tell us about Sonic Fox for people who have no idea who this person is because they live under a rock? Definitely not me.
Sonic Fox is an incredibly skilled fighting game player, having taken first in numerous tournaments around the world. Evo, oh goodness, now I read some of their accomplishments literally 20 minutes, not even an hour ago, and okay, they have completely left my head. But
it's all good. It's just a big podcast where we have to know all this information.
Yeah, no, it's just like a big thing where it's like, it's helpful to know all this stuff, and I just completely forgot it. I'm whiffing. An incredibly skilled player, currently playing 2XKO, the League of Legends fighting game, Mortal Kombat, taking home first place left and right in so many tournaments. They are an incredibly skilled player. It seems so far from everything I've seen and read and like watched, they are just incredible as a person. And I'm really, I love seeing Sonic Fox on this list, just in general.
Well, yeah, because there's like a lot of stigma around esports being included with regular sports. And I say regular sports, that is the stigma, right? Because like esports, like it's competitive, but I guess a lot of people think like, is chess a sport? And if chess is, or like depending where you feel on like chess being a sport despite being competitive, like how do you feel about video games being like esports being included on a list of like physical sports, right? Because there's not like full body physicality in this, right? Like it's not, and again, that also like that wording also like implies potentially too that like other sports where you're not using your full body but you're still physically active, like is something where it's just your hands being used. Like anyway, how do you feel about Sonic Fox being on a list of sports athletes?
I think in this, I think Sonic Fox being on this list is incredible. It may not be a fully active sport. Sure, you're just using your hands, you're pressing buttons on your controller, but it is mentally taxing. I tried at one point to be a more professional fighting game player, and the amount of things you have to keep track of, the amount of knowledge you have to be aware of going into any situation where you're fighting someone's like, okay, they're playing this character. What can this character do? What moves do they have? What's the startup? Like, you have to kind of know enough about every character to be competitive and how to counter a lot of their major, like their moves. You have to know, okay, this goes high, I have to go low. Okay, I'm going to jump over that. Okay, oh, no, wait, I read them wrong. Oh, no. It is taxing in a way that people don't expect it to be, especially when you are trying to stay honed in on it the entire time. So I think it's very good that Sonic Fox I think it's a good start for Sonic Fox being on this list.
Cool. Yeah, I think it is too. I think it is a gray area with esports for sure. And a lot of esports aren't always called esports either. Like I know Pokemon World Championships, like the Pokemon competitive scene is not called an esport at all. They never refer to it in any of the copy they write from the Pokemon Company or Game Freak or whoever as an esport. And I think that applies to a lot of games. I don't think Nintendo calls Splatoon an esport either, but I would totally argue, like, if Mortal Kombat is an esport, Splatoon and Pokemon are for sure. Mm-hmm. So,
if there are tournaments where you can win money, the game is an esport. That's like my opinion on it. If you can go into an arena or even just like your local scene and like come out with $100, you're playing an esport because it's being taken more seriously than other games.
It's fair. All right. Well, speaking of Mortal Kombat, the sequel movie has had another release date change. Cleo, we're just going to do this super quick because this is like a really tiny headline. But I know a few weeks back or a few months back, I reported that the Mortal Kombat movie got delayed, or the Mortal Kombat 2 got delayed from like this fall. In fact, it might have even been like this month it was supposed to come out. Now it was coming out in May. And now that May release date has been bumped up 1 week to May. I actually forgot to write the actual number, the day of the week here. I think it's May 8th, 2026. Let me just double check that super quick. I messed that up in my own show notes here. Waiting for IGN, the source to load. Yeah, May 8th. Okay. All right. And so we're moving on to the depressing part of the podcast now. There were a lot of layoffs this week. So first off, Rovio is laying off 36 people because the new Angry Birds game did not meet expectations. Gaming news site The Gamer is experiencing, quote, widespread layoffs, unquote, thanks to parent company Valnet that I brought up I think I called them Valnet once by mistake, but I think that is an apt name for them. Apparently entire section teams, which I'm quoting from the article there, which I understand to mean also entire section teams, for example, groups that cover specific topics like reviews are gone. So that is a journalism site. I think I've actually use The Gamer as a source on this podcast a couple times. And I do want to just note here, if there's a games journalist that you like or a games news outlet that you like, please support them in whatever way you can. not like every way that you can, but like in the way that you were comfortable supporting them. I know games journalism gets kind of like cast in a shadow because of like a lot of gaming news outlets, for example, just being like clickbait and advertising and like just talking about, you know, like not really doing investigative journalism as much anymore, more so just like regurgitating a lot of information. So, and also just like the sheer number of ads that some of the articles just straight up are ads now. So it's critical to support the games journalists that you do like, because there's a lot of talk right now, and I did post this on my Blue Sky as well, that like at the end of the day, it's going to be like really big news outlets, IGN left, and like maybe some independents like myself that aren't bought out and maybe aren't doing super well. And not to say that we're not doing super well, but we're very low key as a podcast. We get like a small number of listeners, viewers every week, and I'm happy for the viewers we do get. I'm not complaining, but like, even if it's not me that you want to support, like if there's a journalist you want to support, like for example, Reb Valentine at IGN, she's doing still like, as far as I'm concerned at IGN, she might be one of the only few still doing like constant. I'm sure there's other people at IGN that are occasionally doing investigative journalism, but Reb Valentine specifically does a lot of investigative journalism. Almost all her articles are breaking news, something you didn't know before, something she had to like step out of her comfort zone personally. Maybe not comfort zone, but have to step out into somewhere that she would normally tread to get information to share with us, the public. So if there's someone at a news outlet doing something you like, you should support them in a way that you can, because layoffs are affecting, and the downtrend of the games industry's success right now is also affecting journalists. Anyway, that's my soapbox to be on. I know it's not super easy to support your avatars because it's just like follow us, listen to us, watch us, you know, like I do want to start up a Patreon in the new year. I haven't completely figured out how and what that's going to look like. I'll probably put the bonus episodes and make them exclusive there, unfortunately, for people who are currently getting, like right now they're free, but like, and I might also give people access to our Discord, which currently is just for regulars on the podcast, just to kind of coordinate. But that's, yeah, we'll see where it goes with that. But anyway, yeah, so like, support whoever you can, because again, like also all the gay gaming websites that are around, like there's us and there's Gaming Mag, and there are people who do like little bits and pieces of things here, but like as we know from the interview with Chris Schroyer, there's been like websites before that are no longer around because they didn't survive. There are podcasts that used to do what I'm doing now and they didn't last. Right now this is weekly. I hope it never changes, but you know, like right now, for example, I'm doing this in my spare time. Like I'm doing this, and poor Cleo is like shifting in her seat. She's like, saying, I'm just like stop monologuing about your podcast.
Monologuing on your own podcast. How dare you?
All that is to say though, is that like, I do this, like I do this because I enjoy it. I do this in my spare time. Like I don't ask people for money. I just ask you that like you like, follow, subscribe, stuff like that. You know, I do pay for a few things to keep the podcast going. Like the software I use to edit the podcast, the website we use to record the podcast, the like hosting stuff like that, like the domain name, the website itself, which I use through a podcast like website building platform. So the stuff like that is monthly or annual costs, which is not a ton, but it is still out of my own pocket. So it would be really great if you could show us any support that you can, because it means the world to me whenever I see a like or a comment or a follow or a repost. Like my heart does little backflips. So please keep that. I mean that when it's an infinite feedback loop of happiness that makes me want to keep going with the podcast. So anyway, all that is to say, there were layoffs this week and journalists got hit hard. So my heart goes out to them. Game developers got hit hard. My heart goes out to them. And also, some people are about to get hit hard because Ubisoft is asking one of their studios, the team that made Star Wars Outlaws, to volunteer for upcoming layoffs. Quoting here from Video Games Chronicle. In a statement posted on its official X account, that's Twitter, by the way, Massive stated that it planned to strengthen its focus on the Division series and the Snowdrop engine, and that as a result, it was reducing its numbers. As a part of our ongoing evolution and long-term planning, we have recently realigned our teams and resources to strengthen our roadmap, ensuring our continued focus on the Division franchise and the technologies, including Snowdrop and Ubisoft Connect, that power our games, statement reads. To support this transition responsibly, we introduced a voluntary career transition program, giving eligible team members the opportunity to take their next career step on their own terms, supported by a comprehensive package that includes financial and career assistance. So, Cleo, I've been talking a lot. What's your read on all this?
Not good. Oh, geez. It is... I'm just quickly reading over the article again. Forgive me. It's deeply frustrating to see that, oh, no, you're going to make you volunteer to do it. To pick your favorites. They're sticking around. It is incredibly frustrating seeing that this team is being forced to make such a tough choice. It is impossible to think of what the next step is for the people who will be getting laid off. Like, what are they going to do from here? I'm sure they can find. I'm sure they will land on their feet, but it's at this moment, even saying that this came after another studio, Red Lynx, was then doing their own layoffs. It just makes me feel icky and I don't like it. Which I think
on one hand,
large.
Yeah, on one hand, I'm like not the volunteer aspect, but the knowing that it's coming. It's both like it's a double-edged sword, because on one hand, it's like better to not be in the dark, but also to have that looming over your head for who knows how long before the layoffs actually happen. And then like everyone's playing like chicken. Like, do I leave? Do I not leave? Does leaving throw my colleagues under the bus? Is there like, if we wait longer, will they incentivize us with a better severance package? Will they threaten us with making the severance package worse if we don't leave? Can they legally do that? Are they allowed to get away with gray areas? I'm actually not sure which country Massive is in.
I don't know.
It's not Toronto,
Swedish.
Is it?
No, it is Swedish. It is
because I know Ubisoft Toronto also worked on Star Wars Outlaws here, because I had someone on the podcast. I think back, I want to say episode 9, I had someone who worked on Star Wars Outlaws. So if you want to go back all the way back to an audio-only podcast and check out that, I did have someone on the podcast who worked at Ubisoft Toronto at one point. I worked on Star Wars Outlaws briefly. So, at least I think. Maybe I'm misremembering. Hopefully not. But anyway.
I don't think I have anything else to add. I'm trying to think, was there anything else I wanted to say? I don't think so.
All right. Well, that's a good point to move on then. So now we actually have a bunch of game news here. So this is all I'm gonna kind of rapid fire, and Cleo, jump in at any point if any of these games interest you and you want to kind of do a quick detour on them. I'm going to start with an EA game because they drive me up the wall. Assassin's Creed Shadows is coming to Nintendo Switch 2 on December 2nd. There is some queerness to that game. I won't spoil what it is, but I think it's pretty small, but it's still in there. Kind of like Star Wars Outlaws also had it. Elden Ring is getting delayed on Nintendo Switch 2. It needs more time in the oven because the performance is not great, and it's now coming in 2026.
I did see some videos of that. And it is... I think this is the right move. I think it's a good play.
Now, what I was also hearing at one point was that Elden Ring wasn't that well optimized on PS5 or Xbox to begin with, but because the hardware was better, it wasn't so obvious.
I definitely had some. I played primarily on PC. I did play it on PS5 for a bit. It definitely had some issues, but again, the Souls games in general have issues on PC, and it's not something you can escape from.
It's fair. All right, another queer game here. Fallout 4 is getting a 10th anniversary re-release with the main game. 6 add-ons and 150 pieces of Creation Club content, which is fan-made content, all in one package. So the add-ons are Far Harbor, Automatron, Contraptions, Vault Tech, Nuka World, and Wasteland. As far as I can tell, this anniversary version of the game has no visual upgrades. If there are any, they didn't advertise them, and I don't know Fallout 4 well enough to know if there was a difference. But the articles I also read didn't say anything about visual upgrades, and I feel like if someone would have noticed that writing these articles. I feel like. So I don't think there's any visual upgrades, which kind of makes it a little bit of a bummer, because it's just a collection at that point. I mean, it's not a bad thing to have it, but also like it's been 10 years. You can add a little something, something, can't you, to the visual fidelity? I don't know.
You would think, but there are so many mods that'll improve your experience dramatically. It's like, okay, great. You're just bundling all of this stuff together. Okay, sure, that's fine. But I wouldn't pay for it again, unless it was like deeply discounted personally.
That's fair. I mean, the mods are a nice thing, but I'm pretty sure, obviously, yeah, they have the fan created mods, but if you want to have the ones that aren't official, I guess, if there are any, those would only be available on PC. But I think the Creation Club is coming to PS5, and I think they're renaming it to like something else, but I can't remember what it was. Anyway, the Anniversary Edition will be available digitally on Xbox Series X, S, Xbox One, PC, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4 on November 10th, and it is also coming to Nintendo Switch 2 next year in 2026. No date specified. It is nice to see Nintendo Switch 2 getting a lot of support, even if all these games get digital or physical, like key card releases, which are disappointing. There'd be the collection. You know what? It's just saving me money because I like to have physical video games and I like to have them on Nintendo consoles. But if you're just going to release them as a key card, guess what? I save money because I'm not going to buy it there.
Hey.
So. Sonic Rumble is releasing November 5th on PC, iOS, and Android. Battle Royale. This is all I know about the game. It's a Battle Royale party game featuring all the Sonic characters as toys. It's 32-player platforming style game. I read a bunch of stuff. I watched a bunch of stuff about this game. And I still really don't know what the gameplay loop is. I have no idea what the point of the game is. I have no idea how you play it, what the objective is. Nothing at all. Literally nothing. I just know that it looks adorable.
I have no idea what this game is. I truly no clue. I'm excited to try it. I will at least give it a shake.
Well, it comes out one day before Unbeatable, so good luck.
I take it back.
Speaking of queer indie games, this is the last of the games that got release date updates, is Scarlet Hollow. The early access horror visual novel from the team behind Slay the Princess has officially set a release date for its 5th chapter. So it's coming February 13th, 2026, which is also Friday the 13th. I'm just going to take a quick sip of water here. This game is currently on PC only for now, and the game is still releasing chapters. It's going to be 7 total chapters. So after 5, I think 6 maybe. I doubt 6 is coming next year. It's probably going to be a little while. This is like under Deltarune levels of waiting. Because again, small indie team making it. I think the team making this game is a husband and wife team, and that's it. I did actually get to meet them this year. They're very cool. And this is a like super queer game to some extent. It's player sexual, but like in the best possible way they could do player sexuality. So the Steam description for this game, if you haven't heard of it before, is your aunt's dead, your cousin hates you, and you're stuck in the dead-end town of Scarlet Hollow. Choose your path through a branching narrative so dense that you'll see less than 1/5 of the game on a single playthrough. You won't be able to save everyone. Good luck and welcome home. So I did play the first 4 chapters of this game. The game is player sexual, but it's very queer friendly. I think you can set your name and pronouns, like your gender. And you can be as asexual or as allosexual or as aromantic or as alloromantic as you like. For example, I picked a character that had like suave. I forget what the actual stat was called, but at the beginning of the game you get to pick 2 like stats, kind of like 2 like buffs for your character. And I picked talking to animals, and I picked like being like a player basically. So I was hitting on everyone, and it was awesome. Everyone you can hit on anyway. All the romanceable paths, and like I really did feel like there was like a lot of different paths you could choose. They also had a very cool animated trailer just for this announcement. I did link it in the show notes, so please, I do recommend going to check that out, that trailer, and also taking a look at the game. Obviously, it's in early access. It's not done yet, but I did really enjoy those first 4 chapters. Those first 4 chapters felt very complete. The only thing was that you can't play more. So if you're okay with 4 chapters of Deltarune, I don't see why you wouldn't be okay with 4 chapters of Scarlet Hollow, with the 5th chapter getting a release date.
I just want to jump in. I'm looking at a screenshot on the Steam page, and the traits are as follows: powerful build, mystical, talk to animals, street smart, keen eye, book smart, and hot.
Oh, I think I picked hot then. That must have been what I picked. I picked hot.
I love it. I have not heard of this game until today. I think I will buy it.
If you like Slay the Princess or have been interested in Slay the Princess, this is going to be very shocking to many people. This is going to be sacrilegious, and I'm very sorry. I was not into Slay the Princess. That doesn't mean it's a bad game. It just was not for me. I could not get into it. I did play through the whole thing, by the way. I just wasn't for me. However, I played Scarlet Hollow, and I loved it. I loved it. It is scary. Like, this game, like, there is some horror elements and some darkness to it that, like, it's not for the faint of heart, for sure, even though it's got this, like, cute horror aesthetic to it. There's going to be some moments where you're like, oh, that's horrifying. But it is very fun. It is very good. It's very fulfilling. And when you finish the first 4 chapters, it lets you go back to replay the game. And it lets you pick 3 traits on your next playthrough, which is really cool. So that way it gets you through a little bit more of it. But, like, for example, talking to animals, if you don't pick that trait, you miss out on a whole ton of dialogue with just the animals in the game. And there are a lot of them. So, like, to give you an idea of how much content there is in this game, there is a lot. And they're doing it with 7 chapters. I can't even imagine what the branching path, the whiteboard they must look like Charlie Day at the whiteboard at this point. You know what I mean?
They've got like 4 strung together with the red tape going like, okay, no, here and then here. Oh, no.
Yeah, and so much beautiful art, too. It's really, really, really spectacular what they're doing with this game, and I can't wait for Chapter 5. I will be there day 1 for that chapter, and then I'll be immediately sad after that I cannot play Chapter 6. But, of course, we respect indie devs taking all the time they need to release the content that they want to make in the way they want to make it, and then supporting them after, because we're good people. That's not for you, Cleo. That's for my audience, in case they are, sometimes we forget that not everyone is Nintendo, you know?
Mm.
We can bully Nintendo into releasing Metroid Prime 4, but we can't bully, Black Tabby Games into releasing, 5, 6, and 7 chapters of, a game. So
that, I wouldn't dare.
Good. Because I was talking to you specifically. No, I'm kidding.
Wait. Oh no.
We all know what you do in your spare time, Cleo.
I gotta go. I gotta leave.
All right, this is actually the last news story. I think we're making good time on this. So Xbox is committing to third-party publishing. This comes from Video Games Chronicle. Xbox President Sarah Bond has reiterated that it's multi-platform focused by saying the idea of exclusive has become, quote, antiquated, unquote. Bond explained that in Xbox's view, the idea of games being exclusive to a single platform has become outdated, and players now expect games to be available on multiple devices. I think that is actually, everything I just read is actually a direct quote, but I think I forgot to put quotation marks around it in the art in my show notes, so I'm very sorry if I've just, quote unquote, plagiarized their article, but that does come from Video Games Chronicle. So this statement came on Thursday, and then on Friday, Xbox announced a remake of the original Halo game, and it will also be coming to PS5. So, I guess my question for you, Cleo, as well as my audience, is how do you feel about exclusives becoming third-party games? Do you feel betrayed after buying a console for exclusives, or are you happy that you can potentially access any game on any platform, and also knowing that other people can access any game on any platform? What is your take?
I think... But words come out of mouth. I'm actually really happy that these games are coming to more platforms so more people can access them. I think it maybe in the short term having exclusives for consoles is fine. Like, oh, we want to be able to push our console. We want to be able to hey, buy this game, buy our console, get this game, and then later on re-release it on other consoles. I think that's fine. I'm really excited to see more exclusives be released on other platforms for more people to play it. Like, I have an Xbox sitting just up there, and I would love to see more PS5 games on it. Even seeing PS5 games on PC with like Helldivers and Horizon. I think that's really exciting. Like, giving people more access to the games they want to play is never a bad thing.
I would be a little salty, though, if Super Mario, like DK Bonanza, was announced for PC today. I'd be like, I just bought a Switch for this. Or Pokemon Legends Z. But that said, though, I still wouldn't be that salty. I'd just be a little salty. I'd still be happy that more people can access the game. But I'd also be like, Nintendo made me buy a really expensive console and didn't tell me there would eventually be a PC version. I'd be a little grumpy.
I don't
Mainly mad at Nintendo, not so much the player base enjoying their games.
I don't expect Nintendo to do any PC releases or cross-platform releases anytime soon. They're the one company that I don't think will.
Ever.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
Not in my lifetime.
Hell will literally freeze over before Nintendo would ever put a Mario game, even like the OG Super Mario Bros. as a limited time, one day only thing on Steam. They would just never do it.
100%. That will. If it ever does happen, I will be floored.
I would buy it just because, like, hey, look, it's Mario on PC officially. Even though, like I've said before, I'm not a big fan of the original Mario game. I'm not very good at it. I don't enjoy it. I've never really beaten it. So still buy it because I'd be like, wow, I can't believe this exists. Probably be like Sonic fans in 2001 seeing Sonic on the GameCube.
Potentially, you know.
All right, we're going to say, well, that's actually all our headlines. Actually, we did pretty good time on that. I'm not sure how much time. Oh, yeah, no, we did about average. That's about average time. I thought it would take longer. We're going to take a short break, and after this short musical interlude, we'll be back on to talk about Fear the Spotlight, now that we're done fearing the news. Hi, True Avatars, and welcome back from the break. So for this segment, we're going to be talking about Fear the Spotlight. And so this game, I am going to talk about spoilers in the later half of the discussion. I do want to have a spoiler-free portion of the discussion, so people who haven't played the game yet, or might be interested in playing the game but want to hear more, have some kind of like a safe space to listen to like our general thoughts. But a lot of what I like about this game does relate to spoilers, so I do want to take a moment towards the end to discuss some spoilers. So anyway, this is my spiel about this game, though. I know this is a horror game, but if this is something you've even thought about playing briefly, it's free until the Thursday after this podcast comes out on the Epic Game Store, until 10:59 Eastern Time that day. So it's completely free if you can brave the Epic Game Store, or if you miss out on that, or you really hate Epic. I don't know. Some people hate Epic, so it goes on sale on all platforms frequently. It's on Steam, verified on Steam Deck, which is where I played it. It's on Nintendo Switch, backwards compatible with Nintendo Switch 2, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series. I think it's even on sale on Switch until November 1st for 50% off. And with the discount, it's $13 Canadian or $10 USD, which is a steal in my opinion, even despite it being free, and that's also a steal. I think I paid more than, I think I got it for 40% off a couple weeks ago, so I thought it was worth even that. Despite the horror aspects, if you can brave those, it is a wonderful game with an adorable and charming love story between two teenage girls. Think Life is Strange to an ever so slightly smaller degree. So anyway, if you were already thinking about playing this game, and I'm just going to say, I'm going to have Cleo I'm going to ask Cleo to kind of explain the premise, but just keep in mind that if this interests you, listen to the little spiel that Cleo's going to do, but then stop the podcast, go play it, then come back, because you'll get so much more out of this podcast having played it. Anyway, Cleo, what's this game about?
The game is about two teenage girls, like you mentioned, Vivian and Amy, breaking into their school after hours. Vivian and Amy, oh my god, I'm gonna start again.
No, you're good. I'm following this. I'm okay. Invested. I'm just also drinking water.
No, that's fine. That's fair. Vivian and Amy break into the school after hours. The reason is to break into the library and open and get into a Ouija board.
A Luigi board? Sorry, I had to make that joke.
Oh, the Ouija board. I'm leaving. I gotta go. The library currently has a display up of occult items like a tarot deck, books on witches and that sort of thing. There's a copy of How to Kill a Mockingbird in there for some reason. But the main show is the Ouija board, which they are interested in using for a seance because there was a tragedy at the school that happened in the past, and Amy is having some weird feelings about going through her daily life at the school. They use it, and it goes very, very poorly from there. It's not a spoiler to mention the time period, and because this happens very early on in the game, where they are split apart. You take control of Vivian, taken back in time to the 90s when that tragedy takes place. I think it's 91. Somewhere in the early 90s when that tragedy takes place, and you are tasked to save Amy, who has been kidnapped by a spotlight-headed man.
That's true. Yeah, you're fearing the spotlight.
You're quite literally fearing the spotlight.
So just a little bit more context as well is there's security cameras, there's spotlights that are just trying to like find you, like literally just in the ceiling, there's a spotlight. And then there's, the man with the spotlight for a head. And if you get caught in the spotlight, you're pulled towards it and kind of burned. So there was a fire at the school. That's the tragedy. You kind of learn early on that there was a fire. And you're kind of trying to figure out why that happened. But what I really like about this game is that it's PS1 style game. So it looks like Resident Evil and Silent Hill did from an aesthetic perspective, like graphically speaking, from that time period. However, it does play like a 3D version of those games, like the remakes now. Like the play style is like Resident Evil 2 remake, but visually, like the fidelity is like Resident Evil 2, the original, for example. And these are the closest games I could compare it to, is like Resident Evil and Silent Hill of the 90s. So
yeah, I think that's the best way to kind of describe it, instead of it being like, oh my goodness, static cameras kind of moving as you move. It's over the shoulder, like a more modern take on those games. Yeah.
So the interesting thing about this game is that it is a queer game. It doesn't have the LGBTQ plus tag on Steam. The marketing doesn't really hint at anything, but very early on in the game, looking through Vivian's inventory, you find out that she has a love letter that she has written to to Amy, that she wants to give her. Because she's like, I'm too scared to tell her in person, but if I write her this letter, that's how I can kind of manage it. And so that's why she's at the seance. Like, she's too scared to go through with the seance, but she really likes Amy. And anyone who's ever been really, really into someone probably knows that you'll do silly things that you would not normally do to prove your attraction, or just to like be with someone in any capacity. Anyway, because it's kind of partially set in the 90s, it's, like, it looks like it's a 90s game, but also there's like floppy disks in the game. There's VHSs. There's like, early on in the game, I actually kind of like wasn't sure what time period everything was set in, because I assumed, because the game looked like a PS1 game, even from the start, when you're in present day, it was still set in the 90s, and it was only a few years after the fire. And the game does later explain what time period it's set in. I won't spoil that right now, but yeah. What are your thoughts on the visuals and like just like this setup, Cleo?
I really like the visual style. I've always kind of had a soft spot for PS1, the PS1 aesthetic, because I grew up on those games, and I have a whole bunch of them just kind of on a shelf over there. I think it suits this. I think it suits the game very well. It's exciting. I love seeing games like this, and we'll get into it later. But the original release even more so fits that aesthetic, and I haven't played it yet, but I'm glad it kind of followed through. It's more refined. It's more there's more kind of going on with more money and everything. But I really do like the style of game.
Yeah, what I really liked about this game is that it was scary and challenging, but not so scary and challenging that you couldn't progress. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like Alien Isolation where like there's like specific save points, and if you haven't saved in like an hour and the alien gets you because you can't avoid the alien because the alien is random in a lot of sections, you have to go back to that save spot. This game auto-saves for the most part. Anytime you do anything, the game is like auto-saved. I think there was only one section of the game later on where it didn't auto-save for a few minutes, and I was like, oh, I have to go back to like a certain spot, just backtrack a little bit. But for the most part, like, if like you get caught by the spotlight, it does some damage to you. And the game is very good about giving you inhalers, which are your like recovery item for your health. So when Vivian is captured, she gets burned, she gets panicked, and then she can use an inhaler to kind of like collect herself. The game seems to give you one like every 20 to 30 minutes, not like based on time, but based on play time so much. Like, you'll find one in roughly, if you're playing through the game at that pace, at a normal pace. And even if you get caught by the spotlight a couple times and you die, you basically start to right before you get caught by the spotlight anyway. So like, as scary as it is, it's not like too challenging. And I liked that about it. I think there were certain spots where I was like, I think this would be a lot scarier if there wasn't this level of accessibility, but also it does mean that like it's honoring my time, like it's respecting my time, so I don't have to backtrack too much. And also it still was very creepy.
Mm-hmm. The entire aesthetic, the entire like the atmosphere it kind of built was incredible. Using the like fog of war of the PS1 style aesthetic it helped to kind of, it felt claustrophobic being in the school halls and in the classrooms, like, oh wait, this isn't, oh wait, no, wait, where's the spotlight guy? Is he gonna, oh wait, no. I managed to get through the game without getting hit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I only ever found 2 inhalers. The first one you get at the start, and I think I found one like halfway through like that section. It was spooky, and I got scared a couple times. Like, oh, it made me jump at least a handful of times because I just wasn't expecting things.
Maybe the game was giving me more inhalers because I was bad at it.
I can't say, but I really liked it.
Yeah, something you said earlier made me think of something to say, but I've kind of lost that now. But I did really enjoy the game, and this is what I was gonna say. So speaking of like the claustrophobia like element of being in the school, and like how many people have been at their school at night at any point in time, at any point in their lives, and also had all the lights be off and be completely alone, even without a spotlight head dude chasing you.
I have like once or twice, but I was there for like an event and I had to like leave and go into like a classroom to get stuff. It's genuinely creepy. Like, it is quiet and like, oh wait, there's nobody here. Well, oh no. It was spooky. Definitely spooky.
Yeah. So yeah, like I didn't really realize how creepy being alone in a school would be until you were in the school. And like, as far as I could tell, most of the spotlight stuff is scripted. It's not like in Resident Evil 2 is Mr. X, right? Is that the guy who like, and then in Resident Evil 3, there's the Nemesis dude?
Yes.
That like is random, right? Like it's like procedurally, like he will show up whenever the game feels like you showing up. It's not scripted. It's like in Resident Evil 2, I feel like once you run into him, you have to keep moving to avoid him, right? Or he just keeps like walking towards you like the dude from It Follows.
Yeah, in Resident Evil 2 and 3, when they are introduced, they definitely follow you, especially in Resident Evil 2 in the remake. You can just run into him in like the main hall and he'll just be like, I'm here to punch you in the face and you have to leave now.
X gonna give it to you.
Literally, he's gonna give it to you real hard.
But so anyway, all that is to say about Fear of the Spotlight, though, is that like when the spotlight dude shows up, it's pretty scripted. They do a good job about making it not feel too scripted. And then they'll set up hallways that you have to keep backtracking through where the spotlights are above, and they'll like, it becomes very easy to figure out the pattern, but you still have to avoid everything. And like, you get anxiety knowing like, oh, I have to avoid this thing and like something bad might happen. So even though it's still very controlled, it still creeped me out a lot.
The first time one of those overhead spotlights came on, it surprised me. And I was like, oh, wait, no, why is it coming? I didn't notice. If you look on the ground, you'll see a path that it takes from A to B. And I didn't realize it could come back towards the entrance until after I had gone through it once and made my way back. And I wasn't paying attention. And when I swung the camera around and saw it, I just about yelled because I did not realize it until too late.
Yeah, there were a couple times where I didn't scream, but I like voiced my like shock. I was like, oh God, no, not this. There's also, this is a tiny bit of a spoiler for later in the game, but there's like lots of sections where you're just like, the gameplay loop is literally like, it's like a Zelda or a Resident Evil or a Silent Hill kind of game where you're like backtracking and finding dungeons, almost Metroidvania-like, as you're trying to unlock new areas. You're like, I got to go to this room to get this tool and go to this room to get this piece of thing so I can combine these two things and go to this spot. And there is one moment later on, and I won't spoil context too much, but like, you're basically like, you walk into a room and a TV with static is on. And I was just like, oh God, is something going to crawl out of the TV? Is something going to crawl out of the TV? And I'm like, you can go up and turn and interact with the TV and turn the TV off. And you're like, okay, you calm down. But then when you leave the room and come back, the TV is on again. You're just like, turn off. Like, I turned you off, haunted TV. Why don't you just stay off for 5 minutes, please? And it's one of those TVs that's like on the carts. You know, the carts you had at your school with the VCR, they rolled around. It's like one of those. So like it's all this stuff that is familiar to you. Like there's another element where there's like the clear projector slide that your teacher would like have this clear sheet and she would project it on the whiteboard or the chalkboard to like let you look at that. And there's like an element with that. And like you go into the music room and there's like a creepy piano covered in blood. And there's like all the stuff you know from your school. From like if you went to school in the 90s or the 2000s or maybe even the 2010s, all this stuff is recognized. I don't know if they use that stuff anymore because of like smart boards, but if you went to school in those decades, you know what the stuff is, and it's extra creepy now. It's extra creepy.
It was unsettling, especially that TV on the cart. Leaving the room, like, wait, no, what room was it? I don't know why it creeped me out so much, but the computer room where you have to like do one of the puzzles with the floppy disk, and I don't know what about that room just gave me the worst feeling, being so familiar with like that kind of room, and just be like, well, wait, no, this isn't right. This is not okay. I couldn't even explain to you why, but that room it made me feel wrong.
Oh, excuse me. Whoa, almost coughed. What I did like about the game is that it didn't really talk down to you too much about like, here's what a VHS is. Here's what a floppy disk is. Here's context for all these old things that aren't around anymore. Like there was a tiny bit of like flavor text to tell you what this thing was, but it didn't like, excuse me. It didn't like assume like Gen Alpha was playing it and like, oh, we got to explain what VHSs are because I know some Gen Alphas have no idea what VHSs are. Right. Mm. So I did like that it was kind of like assuming that our generation was playing it.
Yeah.
A little bit more so.
It made assumptions of the player, and I feel like it was like, oh no, yeah, of course. Like, yeah, the people playing this will know what these things are. We don't need to go on like, this is a VHS tape. You kids don't know you don't know the problem. I really like that. It made assumptions about the knowledge that the player had. I like that.
So when you first heard about this game, did you know that it was queer? Did you know that there was a Sapphic love story between Vivian and Amy?
Not at all. Not until you brought it up. Like talking about it, I had zero idea.
Yeah, so I looked up like list of queer games because I just wanted like a broad like. And this is when I was doing the tier list. I was just like, give me all the like heavy hitter queer games. Like just give me like a list so I don't have to use my brain today. Because like I know what all these games are, but like getting them off the top of your head can't do it whenever that pressure is on. And then so I was looking down this list. And there was Fear the Spotlight on it. And I was like, what? This isn't queer. Like, Anyway, I was so shocked that it was queer because like, and I double checked yesterday that the LGBTQ plus tag is not on there. And I can't help but feel like more people would play this game if they knew it was queer.
I also don't feel like it is a love story, but it also isn't so in. It feels reductive saying it isn't in your face about it because it's really not. Like it's subdued and it feels very natural and it's surprising. Oh no, what?
It feels no different than Mario trying to save Peach.
Exactly. Yeah. It feels natural. It doesn't feel in your face at all with it. It's like, no, of course you're going to go Vivian's going to go save Amy. Of course. Even with, it just feels very natural in that.
And Mario saving Peach, that does sound a bit reductive. I don't mean in the sense that like there's not a lot of material there. I just mean like it's the driving force between why Vivian is wandering the halls of this school at night. Mm-hmm. There is a little bit more to the story. There is one moment where, you know, like the voices in her head are saying like, you can't brave this school. You can't even be brave enough to say state your love for her to her face. You wrote a letter. Which I really like because like I've had moments in my life where I'm like, oh, it'd be so much easier to like get my friend to ask this person out for me or to like gauge their interest through like writing, just like be brave and to be called out on that too. And like, just to have that moment where like, it's not all just about like Amy or Vivian trying to figure out what happened in the school a long time ago and the mystery there, but it's also just about her trying to overcome her own fears in her own life. Right. And I really like that. And obviously Mario kind of lacks that element. We don't know how Mario stomping turtles is a reflection of Mario's own personal life, really. They never tie those two things together. Mario saving Peach is just the driving force to get you to go one foot in front of the other. Whereas this game it's that, but also there's some element to like the story for Vivian's backstory as well.
Mm-hmm. And I really liked that I like that part of the storytelling. If it really stood out to me when it kind of just, it felt so natural, and just having done that, to have that kind of experience, like I've literally written letters to people and like, hey, I really like you. Let's go out on a date, maybe verbatim. It felt very, very accurate to what I've been through, even.
Yeah. It's also really cute. I also really like, it's a very sweet love story. Like, they're very cute. Like, you can see the potential for them as a couple and the way they interact, but also it's not hidden. It's not one of those things you have to dig in the text for or in menus or anything. And it's right at the start of the game. Like, it's like right there. It's not slapped, it's not slapped in your face, but it's like, this is a love story between two girls. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's get to the scary stuff, kind of an element to it. And I really, really appreciated that, because a lot of the times, and I want to do a whole podcast on this, but queerness is like a twist. It's almost like you didn't know they were gay, but they're gay. And it's kind of like disappointing when that's the case too, because then also I can't talk about it in the podcast. So, because it's a spoiler.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the tough part. It feels like it's either it's a surprise twist, or they fall into like the bury your gays trope, where like, oh, the gay person is the bad guy. Oh no. It's like, it feels like it's one way or the other half the time.
I was almost worried too that like, anyway, this is the point where I think we're going to move into the spoiler territory, because I want to bring this up now. So if you haven't played the game yet and you don't want to be spoiled, this is your chance to dive out now. For anyone who's not near their phone but wants to come back and turn this off, I'll give you a couple seconds here, but we are about to move into spoiler territory. All right, this is the final warning. So what I did like is that it's not unrequited love. It's not something where like Vivian has feelings but Amy doesn't. No, they're both totally into each other. I love that they're both like, they're both doing this seance specifically because they both love each other and they both want to impress each other. It's so sweet in the most high school sappy way it can be. It really did remind me of Life is Strange.
Yes. Yeah, I get it. I see exactly what you mean, especially when you get into the back half of the game and you see it from the other side. It was so sweet. Like, oh, of course. Yeah, of course. Yes. Of course, you're going to break into the school with Vivian okay, yeah, of course. So this is my big thing too, is that like, as you get into the game, you figure out what happened at the school. There was a fire, and there was a boy and a girl that were in love with each other, and there's some bullying going on, and you find out like all these little details about what's happening. And you're trying to figure out like, okay, who could have set this fire to this school? Like, clearly this, like, someone did this, right, intentionally. And actually the twist is that it wasn't intentional at all. I think that's really cool. But you're trying to figure out like who the culprit is. So first you find out that the character whose notes you're finding was bullied, and she wants to lead in the school play for Phantom of the Opera. And there's this chandelier that the school has purchased to like, like a stage prop chandelier that's going to like fall on stage, right? And then be lifted up again. So you figure out that this character, Chrissy, who you're following, has a crush on this boy who has the lead in the play, and she has to go up against the really popular girl who's the normal lead in all the plays. And so first you think like, okay, maybe the bully set fire to the school to kill Chrissy and all these students that died in this fire. And as you're progressing through the game too, you see all these like children watching you, like these creepy glowing eyes watching you from like behind bars and like on top of like shelves and all this stuff. And at first it's really creepy. And at a certain point I stopped and just stared at them. And I was like, you're not creepy at all. You poor things passed away in this fire. I feel really bad for you. You poor things. Anyway, what I really like though is like, as you figure out what's going on, you're like, okay, so someone, then you find out that not only that, but Chrissy has a secret admirer and you think it's her crush. And then you find out it's not her crush, it's somebody else. And then at first I'm like, well, maybe it was a girl that had her secret admirer. And then no, you find out that it's the teacher. And you're like, oh, the teacher is kind of creepy. Okay, that's weird. And then you find out the teacher kidnapped her crush, this guy Raoul. Ironically, he's called Raoul, but I think there's also a character called Raoul in Phantom of the Opera. So I was a bit confused about that. I think that's correct.
Because I don't think he's playing. Sorry?
I think you're correct. I think I haven't thought about it in a while.
I mean, he's not playing Raoul in the play. He's playing Phantom, I think, but they're never clear about that. Anyway, so you find out that there was a teacher that kidnapped the kid, and then Chrissy was like investigating herself the same way you're doing, and Chrissy found out it was the teacher, and then in the midst of trying to save like stop everything. It was during the start of the play. The chandelier that was, you're getting this information about the chandelier that was not installed correctly, drops, catches fire to the whole stage, and because everyone's backstage, they can't escape, dies. And so Raul is never really saved from the teacher, and it's never really clear if the teacher died or not, but all the kids did. I think 24 kids died in this fire. So as much as this is a Sapphic love story, it's also a very straight love story as well with the Chrissy and Raul. So
I was going to say something and now I've completely forgotten what it is. Oh, no.
Sorry, I was monologuing.
No, it's fine. Again, your podcast. You're allowed to monologue. You're allowed to. What was it going to be? No, it was about the children. They are absolutely looking out for you and like guiding your path and like getting you to look for items, specifically when they're all on the shelves and they're all watching you and they block you from leaving until you go a different way and find another item, like the strange key for like one of the puzzles you have to open it up.
That was the moment where I realized they were helping you and they don't run away after you look at them.
Yeah, because they're just there like watching you silently. It is genuinely creepy, but I think that's the same point I realized, oh no, they're here to help. They're not here to hinder. This is them helping.
Can I just say that if this was really me in a situation like this, I don't know how the characters can absolutely ever just like not just freeze in place at the start of this thing. Like the second I saw one creepy thing, I'd be like, nope, I have to leave this building now. Amy, she's trapped forever. I'm staying right here. My ass firmly planted on the ground.
I am not leaving. I'm just going to stay here until this passes. It's fine. It's fine. Amy will be totally fine.
So, speaking of Amy, at the beginning of the game, you see there's some question marks in the menu for one thing. And you're like, oh, my thought was New Game Plus. That's what I thought it was. It's not New Game Plus. When you finish the game, you then play through the game again from Amy's perspective. And it's not just wandering through the school. It's completely different. You're wandering through a house. And I will admit, like, the first half of the game was scary. But the second half, with all this new stuff in a haunted house with the tall demon lady that looks like Sadako on steroids from The Ring, I was like, the second I saw her, because they set up the spotlight mechanic at the beginning of the game before the horror stuff starts. They're like, that's a security camera. This is how the game works. When you go into the house, you just walk into a room and she's staring at you. And I was like, nope, I'm out. See ya.
They set it up before you encounter her for the first time, you can, like, when you're exploring the living room with the TV and, like, the DVDs, you can see a DVD with, like, I think it's, like, The Lady of Blackwater, I think is the name of the movie. It's like, oh, yeah, me and my brother used to watch this all the time. Like, we rented it or something. I don't remember the exact thing. And then, like, leaving, completing something and, like, getting in the house and, like, oh no, The Lady of Blackwater is real and I'm dead.
Yeah.
Sadako on her own is terrifying. This was awful. I hated it in the best way.
Yeah, it was really scary. And again, at first I thought she was random, but I later figured out she was scripted for a specific reason. Like, she's there to kind of open doors for you, weirdly enough. Yeah. Because they don't give you the thing to be able to open, like, block doorways in this part of the game. So they came up with something else. But the first time I saw her, and I saw her walking around, I had to actually just watch her because I was like, I don't know what her pattern is. So I watched her to figure things out. And I was like, I still couldn't tell if she was random. I was like, if I enter this room, is she still going to be there? Like, I don't know. But she pops up in scripted spots. And then eventually, if you don't get her attention, she will just fade away. So thankfully, that was good enough for that. But yeah.
It takes place in their old family home. I think the section, because she mentioned it when you get in, the section starts, the school happens the same, but you are split up from Vivian. You end up going into the cell where Raul is kept. You, like, kind of go up, and I assume it's the teacher that gets her in the prison.
I have to assume that and I assume it's the teacher that is, and that's why it's compared to Life is Strange as well. But, yeah, so. Yeah,
and from there, the door you enter, like the prison cell, changes into like a regular door with a lock on it with two things you have to go get. And then you turn around and she makes a comment like, this is our old house. what? And as you go,
yeah, because she sees something that shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm. And it is terrifying. That residential evil is awful.
Yeah, I enjoyed the second. Excuse me. This isn't to say that I thought the first part wasn't good, but I thought the second half was a lot stronger than the first. And the first part is really, really good. But like the second part blew me out of the water. And also the thing about the second part is that like the whole idea is that you're trying to be quiet to not get the attention of the Lady of Blackwater. But everything you have to do to progress involves making noise, like the car alarm, breaking the statues, the radio. And I'm just like, it actually would have been so cool if she wasn't scripted and making noise, literally like make the noise. She comes in and then you have to stop, wait for her to go, make the noise again. Like it almost would have been scarier to do it that way. It would have been a little more monotonous and a little more unnerving, but I think it would have been really cool if they almost tried that element to it. But
I think that would have been interesting to like balance that kind of that, like, oh, we can't make noise, but this has to make a noise to happen. The one thing I think I was absolutely terrified of being in the basement with the car battery after you get it and the alarm goes off, and like getting the washing machine going. It's like, this is going to run and I'm going to have to hide until the cycle stops. And thankfully didn't have to worry about it. But I think that would have been truly just like, no, I'm good. I'm done.
Yeah. Now, did you get the statue puzzle on your first try?
I did. Wow. Okay.
How does it feel to be the goddess's favorite?
Really good, actually. It feels fabulous. It feels amazing. I didn't have a lot of trouble with the puzzles personally. I think I had the like puzzles where you have to like solve something with the wording of things is always an issue, just because like my brain's like, no, what do you mean this is pointing in a direction and can't be this way? Okay, great. So I think I had trouble in the first half with the poem puzzle, but I think that's the only time I had issues personally. I think we talked a little bit about context for this as well, but if you're listening to this podcast and you haven't played the game and you're like, oh, I wanted to hear about the spoilers. The second half of the game, when you start on from Amy's perspective, I did mention it's set inside a house, but she is wandering through this house to solve her own crisis. And she also wants to I almost want to use the word propose, but she wants to not proposition, that's not the right word either, but like confess her love to Vivian. But she has to kind of figure out like what happened with her family and with her brother and process that trauma, which is completely unrelated to the events in the school. It starts there, but you find out that the teacher takes a liking to Amy the same way the teacher took a liking to Chrissy. I also really like about the game, and Cleo, maybe you felt this way, is that all the information you glean from the game is mostly context clues that just give you just enough information to put A and B together, or 1 and 2 together, but they don't actually explicitly ever tell you everything. They're just like, here's the little bit of information, so you kind of know what's going on, but you have to extrapolate a lot of that yourself. And I really enjoyed that about it. I really liked that too, and I saw some of the pieces in the first half and kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see where this is going. Yeah, like this is my first initial thought was, oh, it's a love triangle between Heather, Chrissy, and Raoul for some reason without really understanding their relationship. And I'm like, oh no, oh, this is just okay. Well, okay, Heather's bad. Chrissy's and Raoul, great. I love it. And I knew as soon as the teacher came into play, it's like, oh, the teacher's. Life is Strange, and just kind of like seeing where everything was going. Like, oh no, the teacher is bad. The teacher's the bad one.
Yeah. The teacher too, they really don't ever explain exactly what the teacher does. We don't know if he killed Raoul. We don't know what he was planning to do with Chrissy. Because the way he's doing it is like he's trying to like lure Chrissy in instead of just like so I mean you can extrapolate and like use like logic to figure out like what he would have done, but like you almost wonder like how much has he done? Has he done this to other students? How much do the other students know? Like you just like really, they don't really tell you. You just know he's bad and he kidnaps kids. That's all you know. We don't even know like what happened to Raoul. We don't know if he killed him. We don't know if Raoul died in the fire. They don't explain what happened to Raoul. We just know that he disappeared Raoul so he could get to Chrissy.
I think we can make a very solid guess as to what happened with Raoul being trapped in the basement while the fire was raging. or even just being left behind. That's terrifying. Like, that's truly just awful. Like, no.
But I like that we have to come to that conclusion ourselves. We don't. It doesn't get spelled out for us at any point.
I really like.
There's really only one moment where the game spells anything out for you. And sorry to cut you off, but it's at the very end between the two chapters when you're about to find out there's a second chapter. Is Vivian says, "Oh, I just want to go check the file cabinet in the library. Give me a second." So she goes to the file cabinet and she like goes through. She wants to find proof and evidence that she can take out with her to prove that the school has been covering up what happened here, because they knew about the secret room where he was keeping people underneath the school. The teacher was keeping people. And so she goes in and like she sees a few documents, ties a few extra things together for you, and you figure out what time period everything was set in. But for the most part, you don't find out really explicitly everything. I do like how right after that moment, though, the teacher catches Vivian and she's like, "What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here." And the game kind of cuts to black and it's like, "You have another part of the game to play. It's not over yet."
I loved that reveal. I loved it so much. I was, wait, oh no. Oh. Okay, great. It was a really fun reveal to see. And then getting to that point again as Amy, like, resolving this trauma in her own way, and then having to rescue Vivian. It's a lot shorter of a sequence, but like having to just, oh no, I'm going to chase you through the school, and we are going to get the hell out of here. I really liked that. Yeah,
me too. I almost wondered if there's going to be like a third part of the game where you're in the school present day and have to avoid the teachers that are trying to cover everything up. But it was a very short sequence. And then I like that there's a little button at the end of the game. It's a little, I don't want to call it cringy, but it's definitely like watching high school kids in love cringy. Not I think that written cringy way. I think it's genuinely like, it feels genuine. It's just like, it's like watching yourself in a mirror in high school. You're like, oh, you know, like
it's very earnest. A little corny. And it was really cute and sweet. It was so earnest and like, oh, of course. Yeah. Of course, now they're going to watch a scary movie after going through hell in their own separate experiences. Of course, they're going to sit down and watch a movie. Like, of course.
But they do, yeah. And at the end in the school, they do confess their love to each other, and you get to see them on like a little cuddle date. And in one of I think Amy's bedroom, and they're going to watch a horror movie together. And you can kind of see their charm and what the relationship is actually like. It's not like they leave the school and it's over, and like their future relationship is implied. They actually do give us that like little moment with them, which is a really nice payoff to this story that isn't really about overcoming queerness. Like it's overcoming a love story, but like if you'd swapped these characters out with two boys or a boy and a girl, they wouldn't really fundamentally change the arcs of the characters, because the arcs have to do with their own overcome. Like they're not trying to like come out of the closet. This isn't about like overcoming the fear of the closet or anything like that. This isn't like in their worlds, like it's okay to be normal and in love with a girl as another girl. It's more so like, I don't know if she likes me back. It's not like, I don't know if she's gay or not. Right. Or how people will feel about me being gay. So there's no homophobia. There's no implications of homophobia. It's like, it feels like queerness as normal. It's just there's a lot of other crap happening at the same time.
There's a lot more going on than just that. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, great, of course. Oh, I was going to say something and I've completely forgotten again. My brain works in interesting ways.
I deeply apologize.
No, it's fine. You know what? You should be sorry. No. It was about the different themes between the two stories, with Amy having to deal with the loss of her. First, it's her father who was cheating on her mother with another woman in, like, I think across the country, and him leaving to go there. He falls ill and her brother goes, and it kind of shatters their relationship. And then the brother ends up dying. And that is,
and we don't know how he died either. We just know there was an accident and he died.
Yeah, I think her name is Erica, calls and like, your mom and you need to come immediately. Something has happened. And that's all it's left at.
Yeah. Erica's the other woman, right?
Erica is the other woman. You don't see her mother proper. And at the end of Amy's segment, I don't think we mentioned it. Amy has a lock-picking mini game where you have two lines. You have to line up the bits in the lock to open. At the very end, you have to unlock her brother's coffin, and he appears and says, "Hey, you don't need to see this again."
Yeah, and just as she's about to open it.
Yeah, and I think that was a very heartfelt moment of her dealing with loss and her being like, "No, I don't want to leave. I want to stay." And he's like, "No, you gotta go. You can't, this is not your place, essentially. And I really liked that.
Me too. Actually, this is a good segue. Not segue so much, but I wanted to bring this up. And I think if you, Cleo, or anyone watching or listening has not seen the Insidious movies, if you want more stories like the Insidious movies, which I think were also made by Blumhouse,
I think you're right.
That scene specifically felt like something right out of an Insidious movie, because the Insidious movie has this element where the characters can like kind of project themselves into another dimension where the ghosts are. It's called the ether. And there can be scary moments where it's kind of like dreamlike and you're trying to solve puzzles and escape. But there's also nice moments where you meet, ghosts who aren't evil, ghosts who don't have like ulterior motives. It's just like your loved one in this space. And they're like, hey, you need to go. You're not dead yet. It is not your time. This place is not for you. And I was already getting that vibe throughout the whole 2 parts of the game, but that moment with the brother really felt Insidious like to me, because he's like, hey, there's something chasing you right now. It wants to kill you. You need to go because you do not belong here. As much as I would like to spend a lot of time with you right now.
Mm-hmm. And that led into like, I think one of my favorite set pieces in the game of the lady being there and like shifting the area, and you go up into the attic, and like there are pews,
which is also a funeral home.
Which, yeah, it's like the back half is turned into a funeral home. The lady blocks your path and you have to sneak by. Eventually you're caught and you have to run. And I really liked that little set piece. I really liked that part.
I was really scared too. I was like, I gotta get to the door. I gotta hope that I forgot you could lock the door behind you when you got out. Not that I didn't lock it. It prompts you to, but I was like, oh God, I gotta get out all the way out of this house. And she doesn't move slowly when she sees you. Like she moves slow before she sees you. And as soon as she sees you, it's a beeline for you. And I was like, nope. I'm done. That's time to go.
And the splashing of her feet in the water. I think there's one scripted moment where she does see you before that, and you have to like backtrack through the room and like across the roof and into another part of the house. Like hearing the splashing water, like, oh, if I stop moving or if I stop holding the run button, I'm done. This is over. It is suspenseful.
Yeah, and the characters don't run that fast either.
Mm-hmm. It is very well done. For those moments of like, oh no, this is terrifying. I'm going to die.
Okay, so I'm just looking through the show notes that I wrote up here.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the only thing we haven't really talked about is, maybe you did mention this, and you can forgive me if I've just forgotten because we've talked about so much, but did you mention how the second chapter came to be?
I mentioned it very briefly, so
okay.
I'll pull up my note I sent you. Back in 2022? I think it was 2022. There's a itch.io product, words. There's a project on itch called The Haunted PS1. They consistently release demo discs. They are about 10 to 12 different games, all indie horror games of different types. And I think it's annual. I think they've done Christmas ones as well. I think last year they did around December. They did what they called the Madvent calendar, so that every day was a new little indie game. I think that's wonderful. But this came out in 2022. It was just Vivian's part of the story, and it was much more PS1 styled. Like the graphics were chunkier, and I need to play it because I think it looks amazing. But Blumhouse saw it, reached out to Blumhouse.
There was some debate on this, and Jason Blum came out and said it's Blumhouse.
Okay. Blumhouse I think they were just getting into games at that time, reached out to the devs, offered them funding, and this is what led into it being released as a fully fledged project with the second half of the game coming with it. I love it. I think that's incredible, because seeing what it was, even just in screenshots and like the little bit of the trailer that I watched for that big package of 12 games, it looks like a vastly different but similar game, and seeing it be so different and have so much more context, it's like, oh yes, this is the best outcome. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So I have one more question for you. I think this would make a great movie or like mini series of like maybe 2 episodes for each chapter. I don't know. How would you feel about a big screen or a live action adaptation of this game? Because I think it has a very linear story that would translate well to the screen.
I think it could do very well. I think it would do very well on if not a movie, like a little one season TV series even, I think I would prefer to see it on the screen with like, I think I would like to see it on a big screen. But then you can get more time with the characters in like a TV format. I think regardless, if they did it, I think it'd be great. While looking up the Blumhouse stuff, I did see, I'm not sure how recent it was. I didn't see the time. They did a Kickstarter for like a comic book for Fear the Spotlight. Ooh. So I'm not sure if that's still going, but that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see a movie too, but my fear would be that they would only do one part of the game. Like they would do Vivian's chapter, and then maybe Vivian's chapter, like if the movie didn't make enough money, we'd never get Amy's chapter. And I think they're both like, they both work as their own each movie. And to be honest, if they did them as part of the Insidious universe too, I'd be fine with that. Just have Lynn Shay pop up at one point in the school as a teacher or something and call it.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. I think that works perfectly.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I think if you're interested in horror games, I think this one is worth looking into. It's a very short 4 or 5 hour experience, depending. I think it took like 3.5, 4 hours. I think it's worth playing. If you're into this kind of atmospheric horror, it's definitely a fun time.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Cleo. Happy Halloween. It's almost Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Spooky time.
And so where can people find you if they want to follow you on social media?
I have an Instagram account, Clausified. Or no, Claustrophobia. Sorry, I haven't changed that one. Claustrophobia with Cleo at the front.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, I hope you have a nice, scary week.
I plan to. Oh, wait, that sounds bad. No, yeah, I plan to. It's going to be spooky.
And that just about wraps up this week's show. Thanks, True Avatars, for joining me for another episode of your Queer Video Game Podcast. By listening to the show, you are supporting queer-made content, which is more important than ever. If you want to support True Avatars, it would be really great if you could leave a comment, rating, or review on your preferred podcast platform. You can follow the show on Blue Sky, Twitter, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube under the handle @TrueAvatars, all one word, and on Facebook and Instagram under True Avatars. If you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe, as well as hit the notification bell so you can be the first to know when new content drops. I welcome you to check out the official website, trueavatarspodcast.com. That's all one word, trueavatarspodcast.com. On the website, you can sign up for the newsletter, where you can get exclusive news and updates on the show. Bye, True Avatars. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to speaking with you all again next week. Take care and stay safe.